When a parent sits across from me and asks, "Is there something wrong with my child's brain?" I understand the fear behind that question, so let me answer it directly. There is nothing broken in a dyslexic brain, but there is something different about how it reads. And once you understand what that difference actually is, a lot of the worry starts to lift. For decades, we could only guess at what was happening inside the reading brain. Now, with functional brain imaging, we can actually watch it work. We can put a skilled reader in a scanner, give them words to read, and see which regions light up. And when we do that with typical readers, we see a fairly consistent pattern. Reading tends to lean heavily on regions in the back and left side of the brain that over time become highly efficient at recognizing words almost instantly. Now, here's what the imaging shows in many dyslexic readers. Those particular regions tend to be underactivated during reading, but the brain doesn't just give up, it compensates. It recruits other areas, often regions on the right side and areas toward the front, to get the job done. In other words, the dyslexic brain is taking a different route to reading. I want you to really sit with that phrase because it changes everything. A different route is not a defect. Think of it like this. If the main highway into a city is closed, you don't stop driving. You take the side roads. You still get there. It takes more effort. It takes longer, and you might need a better map. But the destination is absolutely reachable. That is what's happening in your child's brain. The reading is arriving by a longer path. And this is the part I most want you to hold on to. The brain is not fixed. It is plastic. That's a real scientific term, neuroplasticity, and it means the brain physically reorganizes itself in response to experience and instruction. The pathways your child uses for reading are not set in stone at birth. They respond to what we teach and how we teach it. If you're watching this and wondering whether what you're seeing in your own child actually points to dyslexia, there's some guidance in the description to help you sort out whether it's time to seek support. So let's connect the two ideas, because together they're genuinely hopeful. We know dyslexic brains route reading differently, and we know the brain stays plastic. Put those together, and you arrive at the reason good instruction works. When we give a dyslexic child structured, explicit, systematic instruction, the kind that teaches the sounds of language and how they map onto letters, step by step, with plenty of practice, we are, in effect, helping the brain build a stronger, more efficient route to reading. This isn't wishful thinking. Imaging studies have shown that after intensive, appropriate instruction, activity in those reading regions can actually increase. The intervention is changing the brain. That's why I get frustrated when a child is simply told to try harder, or read more, or is left to struggle in the hope they'll catch up on their own. Effort alone doesn't rebuild the pathway. The right kind of teaching does. And the earlier we start, while the brain is especially responsive, the more powerful that effect tends to be. Though I want to be clear, plasticity doesn't have an expiration date. Older children and even adults can and do make real progress. So if you take one thing from me today, let it be this. Your child's brain is not damaged. It is capable, it is adaptable, and it is reading by a route that simply needs to be strengthened. The difference you're worried about is the very thing that, with the right support, becomes the doorway to growth. If any of this feels familiar, if you've been watching your child struggle and wondering whether something more is going on, trust that instinct. You suspect your child is behind in reading, and that may be true. Let's get to the bottom of it together and help your child become a confident, capable reader. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and look below in the description for a link to get started.